Your body knows how to be healthy. I'm your host, Martha Blessing, and this is the Place to Be Free podcast, a show that is passionately devoted to illuminating the potential within you to transform your health and life. We're shaking up and breaking up old paradigms so you can free up your mind and body, elevate your consciousness, and create profound well-being and a ridiculously happy and healthy life. On this show, we defy the norms and embrace a journey toward profound well-being and creating true freedom. We challenge patriarchal medicine, question fear-based culture, and dive deep into topics like quantum healing, energy medicine, mental science, consciousness, and universal spiritual laws. Whether you're here for solo explorations or the insightful interviews with individuals who've conquered fear and disease and broken through limitations, you're in for a transformative experience. If you're seeking empowerment, if you're ready for a life-changing shift, you're in the right place. Welcome to the podcast. Hi, Martha Blessing here, and welcome back to this episode of the Place to Be Free podcast. I'm talking today about a very common problem that I see with clients, with people who are looking to heal. And it's about resistance. It's about the idea of when it seems like the path that you're on isn't working. And so many times, right before people are getting ready to have their big breakthrough, they'll quit and they'll stop and they'll give up. So I want to talk about this because it's really heartbreaking, and it's mostly just ignorance. And I don't say that in a negative way. It truly is. Most people are ignorant about what causes illness, what the frequency of illness is, where it starts, where we're holding it in our bodies, energetically, and how do we remove it, and what it takes, like what the path is that we're using as we're coming out of moving and shifting energy and symptoms. So I was working with a client, and she had multiple symptoms and systems that she was dealing with, and a lot of fight or flight energy, a lot of anxiety. As an energy intuitive and an empath and a medical intuitive, I see and feel the energy. Doesn't matter what somebody's saying or doing, I see and feel the underlying energy. And so I call it when someone's top heavy energetically. And there's a lot of reasons why this happens. So their energy is up all in their head, right? If you have 100 circuits to run your body and 75 of them are all being invested in going in a loop to try and create control, to try to not feel the fear and the anxiety, then there's not enough down below in the circuitry to run the rest of our body and our organs and our symptoms. And so this gal was having a lot of immune system disorders. She was also having digestive issues. And so as she was progressing, number one, recognize this. Healing is not linear. When you have had a fight or flight fear response from childhood, from not feeling safe, from growing up in an environment where you had to protect yourself and try to make the best and the most of your environment, you were living in fear, you created roles, you created agreements, and you created patterns in order to try to feel safe and secure as a child. Your conscious mind was not developed, and so you unconsciously created these patterns. Okay, that's fine. But now fast forward several decades for a lot of people. And what we're talking about here is removing this pattern that has been literally locked in energetically to your cells. That's what has constricted the energy. And so it's a benefit if it comes out in layers. It's a benefit if it comes out a little bit at a time. Personally, I've witnessed when people have had it come maybe out too quickly. In a way, I say there's no such thing as that your body knows what to do. But there are some healers and practitioners that literally are so entrenched in their own ego that they will try to pull it out of people, right? And that happens. It truly does happen. It's not in the best service and interest. And I've also seen it with a lot of, I guess, what most people would call like a spiritual guru. I've seen that with a lot of spiritual gurus, and it actually has traumatized people. And I've worked with those clients. So number one, it's not linear, and it's okay. You can ride this wave. You can allow the energy to come out in small amounts, in bits and pieces, and let your body recalibrate to its new frequency, because that is the most ideal way to heal. Now, why do we seem to have a problem with this? Well, this gal she got on our call and she said, I don't think I'm a candidate for this, right? Now, she had already been doing the work and on this path and having success, right? So how I help clients measure success is we rate it from 0 to 10, right? If your pain is a 9 or a 10 when you start, if it's down to a 7, a 6, that is progress, that is success. And what we know by that is that your body's healing. We see an improvement. But when we are so used to pill and a bill Western medicine, where we take a pill and it annihilates a symptom, right? It's literally like a hammer just dropping onto that symptom and pounding it out. That's not healing. That is not healing. That is only mutating a symptom. And so many people have gotten used to this model, this paradigm where you take a pill and something goes away. But when you think about it, you take a pill, and then, okay, let's say it's for high blood pressure. How come that pill doesn't actually, like, you have to keep taking it or your high blood pressure comes back? And or after a couple of years, that pill doesn't work anymore and they have you on another pill. Not to mention the other pills you take for all the side effects of the blood pressure pill. But think about this and acknowledge and remember this when you're on your healing path and healing journey, is that we want it to come out a little bit at a time. Taking that blood pressure medication, it's not healing. It's just pacifying a symptom. The underlying cause is still active and it's still going on in your body. And so when you have a little bit of success, don't think to yourself that it's not working, because you haven't completely annihilated whatever the symptom was. Again, if your pain went from a 9 or a 10 down to a 6 or a 7, that is improvement. And you want to grab onto that and latch onto that and remind yourself and use your brain, your will, your thinking to choose the thought that says, wow, this is fantastic. This is success. I am improving. My body is healing. It's responding to this treatment or whatever this course of action is. And I know that because it's already had improvement, it can continue to improve. That's the first thing that you want to think about, because it's not going to be, when you're doing true deep healing from the inside out, yes, there is spontaneous healing. People used to say that to me. I spent 10 years learning my way out of daily chronic pain, and it appeared that it was just this sudden, I woke up one day and I had no pain, but I had been moving towards it. And so what some people do is they stop doing and using the modalities and the methods that are actually working because they've only gone down to a 6 or a 7, and they haven't gone down to a 0 or a 1 or a 2. And it is possible that you will need another modality to get you down to that 0, 1, or 2. However, if what you were doing was working, stick with it. So this gal said, I don't think this is for me, right? The part of resistance, what happens is you have to remember this, energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only change form. So everything is energy. Everything is energy. I can't stress that enough. You have to know that and believe in that in order for the quantum healing and the energy and, really the way that I teach clients and work with clients, in order for it to work and for you to progress. So as energy moves, remember, you've got trauma, you've got events, you have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual energies and events that have gotten trapped, the issues in the tissues and the cells. And so the energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only change form. So while it's been, if you have a symptom, if you have pain somewhere, if you have digestive issues or anxiety, any of these things, that is an energy pattern that has been trapped. I take that back. I don't even want to say trapped. It's an energy pattern that has gotten lodged into your body. It's gotten lodged in your subconscious, and it's being reflected in your physical body, and your soul knows the cause and the reason that you created it. And so it doesn't mean that as the energy is moving out of the body and it's been trapped, that you will not experience symptoms, and sometimes even an increase in symptoms, because that energy has to go somewhere. It's being transformed, it's being transmuted. And that is actually what the symptom of anxiety is. It's energy moving in your body. It wants to get up and get out. It feels like panic. It feels like fear. Why? Because you created a pattern to keep yourself safe. And so as you're healing, the resistance occurs because your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are in a little bit of a battle with each other, right? We cannot fix the problem with the same mind that created it. I'll say that again. We cannot fix the problem with the same mind that created it. And our conscious mind is always trying to keep us locked into that comfort zone, that pattern that it recognizes. As you're healing, you're creating a new pattern. But until you do create the new pattern, your conscious brain, it's like a homing pigeon. It's got to try to find a pattern that it recognizes. And that's why we have this self-sabotage pattern. We all have it. And why it seems like we're back in the same place. Why does this keep happening? Why do I have the same resistance, the same blocks, the same patterns? Because that's what's actually stored. And it was intended to keep you safe, even though it's making you sick. And so you've got to recognize that healing is not about annihilating the discomfort. It's actually about letting it come up and letting it come out. And so in this gal's resistance, she was actually making progress, and she was changing so many things in her life, how she related to her children, how she related to her husband, in her family, in her marriage, what she believed about herself, about being worthy, and what she could create in life, that she did not have to be a person who was into perfection, right? She created a perfectionista role for herself back when she was a very young girl. And this is what had created her symptoms. She was in fight or flight. She was in cortisol overload. She was in adrenal fatigue and spinning out, and also digestive issues, solar plexus, because she was trying to feel worthy and trying to get approval. And when that happens, like, the pattern becomes so entrenched. When we create that pattern when we're a young person, a child, maybe 5, 6, and we're trying to get that gratification and approval and safety and security and esteem and love from our parents and our caregivers, then you fast forward and you're in your 40s and your 50s. We're talking 5 decades of reprogramming and releasing that pattern. So your mind, your conscious mind, does not yet have a pattern it recognizes that is a new pattern. It is always going to pull you back to that pattern. So this is where the work happens in the reprogramming. This is where the work happens in getting to the core cause. You've got to know what the core cause is, right? If you're struggling, if you feel like you've been in the same pattern over and over again and you haven't been able to break through, I want you to know that healing doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to take a long time. And I am here to help you. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can go to marthablessing.com/strategy call and book a strategy session so that we can help you determine what it is that's keeping you stuck and what the best next steps are for you to take in order to clear these patterns and be fully empowered. So it's actually a gift. One of the things that's very important when you're in this place of resistance is changing the way that you're thinking, changing the way that you're believing about what it is that you are experiencing. So most people, by the time they come to me, are exhausted from all of the things they've done and tried. And they're a little bit skeptical, right? Rightfully so. And if we switch it, I think it's safe to say that they're in a victim mode. And again, I don't have a judgment by using that word. It is a victim. We can't see a way out. When we can't see a way out, we feel like a victim. And our energy keeps focusing on the problem instead of the solution. And so what's needed is to flip the way that you think and the way that you believe about the symptoms. And I get it, because when I was living in a wheelchair and I was in daily chronic pain and I was still taking all the drugs and medications, if anybody had told me this, I would have wanted to just, choke them and wrap my hands around their neck and, wring their neck, because I would have been so angry. But you flip the way that you think about what's happening to you. And you come out of victim and you say, everything is happening for me. Everything is happening for me. And when you do that, you are moving towards an idea, a new paradigm, a new thought, a new idea. You're using your mind that is actually going to take you to asking new questions, different questions that will bring you different answers and different results. So that question is, if this is happening for me, what is it here to teach me? What is this here to teach me? What can I bring into this on a soul level, on an energetic perspective? How can I transcend this? How can I use this? How can I move towards this? Because as long as we're trying to just annihilate a symptom, that Band-Aid, that hammer, that's Western medicine. It's not working. Doesn't matter whether it's surgery, doesn't matter whether it's a pill. When we have a soul crisis, when we have a spiritual, metaphysical crisis and confusion, that reflects energetically. That's what creates the pain. That's what creates the symptoms. There is no pill that's going to fix that. There is no surgery that is going to fix that. And so shifting from Western medicine of my body's turned against me, now you're saying, wow, my soul is in here, my higher self is in here, my subconscious is housed in this body, my whole being, my life force is in here. And so what is it trying to communicate to me? For me. And we move towards it. We move towards it, not away from it. Because what we resist persists. This is why everyone is thinking that things aren't working, because they're getting so close and the resistance kicks in. It's trying to keep you safe. And then you quit, you give up, you try another modality, all the while giving your power away to whatever that modality is, or that herb or that pill, not recognizing, not realizing your body knows how to be healthy. Let's work with it. Let's move in conjunction with it. And ask it, befriend it, what it's wanting to teach you. It's not as difficult as it seems to heal. We've just been programmed to believe something that is not to our advantage for healing. I invite you to shift how you use your thoughts and how you use your mind for healing. Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Place to Be Free podcast. If you found inspiration in our discussions on empowered living, mindset, and spiritual laws and healing, don't forget to subscribe and share the wisdom with your community. Connect with me on social media, and for exclusive content, free resources, and to stay updated on upcoming episodes, visit the website at marthablessing.com/free stuff. Until next time, remember, you're the author of your story. Keep breaking through barriers, defy old worn-out beliefs and patterns, and create a life without limitation. I'll see you in the next episode.